So this weekend we got Floyd versus Logan Paul, the exhibition boxing match, and we have the UFC Fight Night card headlined by Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Augusto Sakai. Let's break this down a bit. We're gonna start with the boxing match. Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul, the man who has never lost versus the man who has never won. And more interesting than the fight, we got an interesting set of rules. There are no judges, which means there's going to be no official winner, but knockouts are going to be allowed. They're going to wear 12-ounce gloves. Floyd is going to try to change those to 8. No headgear and 8 3-minute rounds, an exhibition bout. The bigger gloves are of course going to hurt the smaller man. Now, Logan Paul is much bigger than Floyd Mayweather. He's 6'2". Floyd is 5'8". Logan walks around at 205 pounds. Floyd walks around like 160-ish. So Logan's going to have the big size, big reach advantage, and that's the thing everybody's talking about. If he's going to win somehow, it's going to be by him being physical. Floyd is going to be out of shape. He's old, over the hill. He's going to be chinny, and he cannot take a big punch by the bigger guy. And man, Logan does have a pretty good jab. He can keep Floyd at the end of, who am I kidding, man? This is not even going to be close. The likelihood of Logan Paul landing that big knockout blow is like 1 in a million. And the craziest thing about this fight is not the way it's going to play out. Floyd is the greatest boxer of all time. He could do many things against Logan Paul. I could pretty much make an hour breakdown of what Floyd can do to Logan, but I can only make like a 10-second breakdown of what Logan could do to Floyd Mayweather. But the craziest thing about this fight is the betting odds. And this is a big opportunity for anybody who bets on fights. Logan Paul is a plus 500. Floyd Mayweather is a minus 1,000. Some places he's a minus 900. Did you know that Logan Paul is half the underdog that Conor McGregor was against Floyd Mayweather? Yeah, Conor was a 10-1 underdog, while Logan is a 5-1 underdog. And not only that, there are literally professional fights between two professional fighters who have done this for a very long time, guys who have trained since they were kids. This sport is all they know in their lives, and there are betting odds that are farther apart than this fight. I am shocked Floyd is not a minus 10,000 in this fight. Maybe the people making the odds think that Floyd is way over the hill and he can't even take a whiff of a punch. Like the air particles from Logan's punch are enough to make Floyd waddle. That must be the only explanation, maybe in a parallel universe, make any sort of sense. So Floyd Mayweather could pretty much do many different things here. He could walk Logan Paul down, gas out the bigger guy, do almost what he did to Conor McGregor but against Logan Paul, attacking the body, attacking the head, slipping punches. He could retreat, move away, he can go forward and be aggressive. He could do anything against Logan Paul pretty much. So my prediction for this fight, I'm gonna go with Logan Paul. I mean, big muscles win fights. That's just what it comes down to. And you guys see Floyd Mayweather's beard? He's trying to protect his chin. Floyd has never grown a beard for any other fight. There's a reason why he got the beard and hair transplant against Logan Paul specifically. He knows, man. He knows the danger that's going to walk up on him on Sunday. And it's another reason why he made the exhibition bout. I mean, come on now. It all makes sense. He didn't want this loss to be on his record. But all jokes aside, Floyd Mayweather wins by a 5th round TKO. I think he's going to carry Logan a little bit. And even though the odds are pretty crazy, like I said before, they are good for people who want to go and bet on the fight. And the best place to go is mybookie.ag because they have the best odds and the best categories to bet on. Not even just the fight, not even betting on how Floyd is going to win. Not only the rounds, not only if one fighter is gonna get knocked down, but there's even more fun stuff. Like, you can bet on what the first thing the broadcast is gonna say out of these. 50-0, YouTube, McGregor, vlogger. There's literally odds on this. And there's many more categories. MyBookie really went up and above to give fans more opportunities to maximize their earnings on this. But you always have the knockout, DQ, and decision categories. Now, a lot of people will ask, there are no judges, so how is Floyd winning by decision a plus 225? Well, there's special rules here. If there's no KO or TKO, the winner will be decided via vote. If the broadcast declares a winner via voting, the result will be used for these purposes, right? Now, it does say if there's no vote held and there is no KO, then all the wagers related to the fight are going to be voided. And not just that, MyBookie is putting up a special offer specifically for MMA fans that are looking to bet on this boxing fight. If you bet $20 or more on Floyd versus Logan, you'll unlock a free $20 bet on the UFC 263 main event, Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. And of course, you could also take advantage of the deposit bonus where MyBookie will match up your first deposit halfway all the way up to $1,000. For all of this, all you have to do is use the promo code WEASEL to activate this offer. That's promo code WEASLE. Just visit mybookie.ag today because the odds are moving quick on this Floyd versus Logan fight and on the UFC pay-per-view next week. And then we head right to the UFC fights. The card is actually not as bad as a lot of people think it is. You have some fun fights on here, not the highest level fights, but good stylistic fun matchups on a Saturday night. Roman Dolidze versus Lorino Staropoli is going to be a bit entertaining, a good striking match between the two. Roman's a lot more aggressive. He likes to go forward and land that big right hand on you. He's not the most technical fighter. Staropoli is a lot more technical, much more kick heavy, sharp puncher from long ranges, and we saw that Roman Dolidze had a problem with that when he fought Trevin Giles. But can Dolidze get into Staropoli's discomfort zone and start making things happen with his power? We have the return of Duško Todorovic versus Gregory Rodriguez. This is a bigger step down in competition for Duško. Rodriguez is not the most fluid, mechanically capable fighter there is. He's very big and strong, but a lot of things that Duško does, it's going to be hard for Rodriguez to really counter. Tom Breeze versus Antonio Arroyo is going to be an interesting fight, more of a puncher versus kicker matchup. Both guys are decent on the ground as well. Arroyo has terrifying kicks. The guy kicks extremely hard. They're both southpaw, so it's going to open up a lot of leg kicks against the boxing approach that Tom Breeze comes out there with. But Arroyo does not have the best head movement. He's very wild with his hands, and he's not good when he's on the cage. He clinches a lot from there. Tom Breeze has shown to take a lot of people's back. Dangerous on the ground, so that should be an interesting fight, man. I like the kicker, but I also like the pressure boxing from Tom Breeze. A lot can happen in that kind of fight. Tanner Bolser versus Ilir Latifi is an interesting fight. Tanner Bolser can be pretty inconsistent. Sometimes he comes out there and starts winging punches at you. Not the most technical, but the whipping speed that he has can really startle a lot of his opponents. Ilir Latifi though has the wrestling background, and he could pretty much do what he did to Derek Lewis in this fight, constantly clinching from the aggression, slowing down the fight, and the fact that Tanner Bolser isn't as strong or as big as Derek Lewis means that Ilir Latifi has a better chance of taking it to the ground with the body lock and grinding this out to a decision win. We have yet to see Latifi explode in the heavyweight division and really see how much power he generates from the bigger frame that he has. Francisco Trinaldo versus Muslim Salikov is an excellent fight. If Trinaldo was a bit younger, this fight would probably be the best fight of the entire card. The guy's 42 years old though. He definitely has his power. He's definitely still sharp. He's more capable than a lot of 42-year-old fighters, but you could definitely tell his speed has gone out the window. And that's going to be a big problem going up against Salikov, who is a very good counterpuncher in himself, has excellent kicks from the outside. He's going to be difficult to take down. Trinaldo might hit a wall in this fight against someone who does what he does, but better. So there's a big possibility that Trinaldo's win streak gets snapped in this fight. I like Makwan Amirkhani versus Kemuela Kirk, wrestler versus striker, where Kirk is a lot more efficient with what he does. He has a sharp and active left hand, good jabs, and extremely good omnidirectional left hook. When he's moving back, forward, every angle he moves on, he attacks with that left hook. He has a very good right low kick as well. Right hand can be sharp, but he usually takes time in order to find that opening when he starts feeling the fight with his left hand a little bit more and batters their leg with his leg kicks. I initially thought that maybe Amirkhani would have a huge grappling and wrestling advantage, much more than expected, but after seeing Kirk stuff and even reverse positions against Billy Quarantillo, who's a very good grappler in his own right, it starts to make me worry more for Makwan Amirkhani. But Kirk does give up his arm, and he does leave himself into submission attempts a bit too much, man. He also has very good cardio. Amirkhani definitely gasses out. But out of all these guys, I will have to say, the prospect of the night is Miguel Baeza. He's very dangerous, he's undefeated, he's fighting Santiago Ponzinibbio, which can be seen as a step up in competition. I will say the fighter of the night is going to go to Jairzinho Rozenstruik. He's the highest ranked fighter of the entire card, and he's only a couple fights away from a potential title shot. I will say the stake of the night, the guys on hot waters, is going to be Santiago Ponzinibbio 100%. He loses to Baeza, it's over for him. If he does not perform, he is just far too old to make a long stretch comeback. Now the banger of the night, the most exciting fight, is going to go to Alan Patrick versus Mason Jones. This fight is going to be insane, man. And the fight of the night, the best stylistic fight, the most skilled fight on paper, probably goes to Francisco Trinaldo versus Muslim Salikov. There's potential that Ponzinibbio versus Baeza is the fight of the night, but it's hard to really say with Ponzinibbio over the hill as he is. And we're going to start with that fight, man. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Miguel Baeza. Ponzinibbio has an excellent jab, one of the best jabs in the game. Very fast, and he launches off his feet with it. He used to keep a very tight right guard as he used to throw it, but in his last fight where he got knocked by Li Jingliang, he was keeping his hand lower, and he was leaning away from the counter left hook. Now, Miguel Baeza doesn't normally go to that sort of thing. Because he's so young, he could probably learn from the Li Jingliang fight and implement the check left hook using his reach advantage. But Miguel Baeza is way more heavy with his right hand. He's very opportunistic with it. He creates his openings with the right hand and also capitalizes through openings with his right hand. And that's going to be a problematic thing for Santiago Ponzinibbio, who's definitely going to be slower because he is older, coming off the layoff, getting knocked by Li Jingliang. I don't trust his ability to come back after all of that, man. He's 34 years old. Both these guys are very good with their leg kicks, but Ponzinibbio is definitely better at checking them. Miguel Baeza has not checked kicks that often, and that's going to be a scary thing in front of the power of Santiago Ponzinibbio, who could set up the right hand off of his jab. Landing a lot of low kicks for Ponzinibbio is going to make it easier for him to find the jab on the longer Baeza, same way it worked against Neil Magny. And ultimately, off of the jab, he's naturally going to find his openings and his distance for the right hand. And now the thing about Miguel Baeza's defense is the fact that he covers heavy on a lot of things, man, even on jabs sometimes. And that's not the best sort of thing going up against Santiago Ponzinibbio, who's going to explode in and take the directional left angle as he exits. As Baeza looks to cover up, Ponzinibbio is going to be in and out on him. But with that direction, Ponzinibbio is going to have to really be worried about Baeza's right hand when he exits. But when we saw Matt Brown fight Miguel Baeza, he was able to pressure him very heavily, and Baeza got caught while sitting in his shell. This happened twice in the fight with Matt Brown of all people. If Matt Brown can find an opportunity to do that, absolutely Ponzinibbio, even over the hill, can find an opportunity to do the same thing. Is that the most likely thing to happen? It depends how Santiago Ponzinibbio fights. If he fights his usual kind of style, he's not going to barrage Miguel Baeza like that. It's going to be a lot of distance work, a lot of jabs and leg kicks. Baeza is going to try to find the right hand constantly and look to find things off of his left hook as well. The speed difference is the biggest thing that worries me for Santiago Ponzinibbio. Baeza is way faster. His reflexes are sharper, and Ponzinibbio's chin is probably not the same, man. So my prediction for this fight, I'm going to go with Miguel Baeza, and I'm going to go by a second round TKO. What it ultimately comes down to is Ponzinibbio's age and his layoff. There's definitely a chance he goes out there and barrages Baeza into a finish, but the likelihood of that happening is probably not the highest right now. If Ponzinibbio shows his youth in this fight and comes back in prime form, he most likely would go and win this fight. But the way it stands today, gotta go with Miguel Baeza, man. And then we go to the main event, Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Augusto Sakai. This fight is not going to be the fastest pace. Rozenstruik really slows down fights, and opponents, with the exception of Francis Ngannou, tend to be pretty tentative in front of him, right? Rozenstruik is a better counter fighter than he is a lead fighter. He's way better at reacting than acting, and because of the one-shot knockout power off of his lead hand specifically, opponents just don't want to rush in, and ultimately becomes a kick fest, a lot of distance between the two, and ultimately becomes a slower fight. Augusto Sakai has fought this way before. He's fought aggressive and he's fought reserved, but in that kind of fight, Augusto Sakai is going to be at a disadvantage. He's a bit slower. He's not as powerful punch for punch. Rozenstruik is a little bit sharper in his shot selection. Both guys are not known for the wrestling pretty much at all. Sakai does a lot of his best work in the clinch or in the pocket, which I don't think is going to get there when he fights Rozenstruik. So ultimately, my prediction for this fight, I got to go with Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and I'm going to go by a 4th round TKO. To be honest, I don't have high expectations for the main event, but because it is a fight night card, it's probably going to deliver, man. It's probably going to be the best fight of the entire card, and hopefully it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed the predictions. If you did, make sure to thumbs up. If you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.